Get to your own side. Good morning. Welcome to Bars and Bells. My name is Lauren.
And I'm Ian.
And this is the body weight workout, where all you need is this and a little bit of this, which is space. And we'll get started with a nice light warm-up, and then we'll progress into our crawls and ultimately our goal towards the handstand.
I know it stands for subscribe. So before, during, or after today's practice, subscribe so we can stay together and train all the way through the month of December here. With those feet in parallel, let's get to those balls of feet. But if we're practicing for those handstand skills, we want to try to point those toes. Then get back to those balls of feet or metatarsal heads and find a quick rise and do a little quick switch. It's the same thing, going from the balls of feet towards that toe point, ribs over hips, butt cheeks squeezing, making sure we're breathing, and back down to the balls of feet. Let's just do that switch one more time, pulling to the middle. So unless we're in that split handstand, tight legs together for the win, let's do that one more time, up to the balls of feet, back down, and really focus on adducting or pulling towards that midline. Now stay on that ball of foot as we come up to both, and ribs over hips, and breathe, and slowly return the feet to the floor. Now incorporate some knee bends here, and from this squat height, can we stay the same height as we lift the heels up and press the heels down? And repeating one more time, lift the heels up and press the heels down. But if you go lower, I can't right now if my feet are flat, so my heels will casually lift up as I'll sink towards my side sit or toe squat here, and then knees, that's your nose, those are the knees, they touch, we extend the hips through, and we can check in with those hands, wrists, and the head neck at the same time here. We'll hinge, landing fingers, calluses, and full hands, and just very casually at the head neck, look forward, that extension of the neck, and a chin tuck looking generally between the hands. Repeating again, extension, looking forward. Repeating again, flexion, more or less a neutral neck there. From this position, press into those balls of hands this time, those metacarpal heads, and slowly return the palm down, just like the feet earlier. A couple in a row. I like to modify that position into the modified plank.
I like to keep it in
harder.
Wrist extension.
Yeah, and making it harder by stepping back, tall kneel. Let's just address that rib cage while we're in this tall kneel. With shoulders together, lightly flex or upper back cat shape ribs towards those hips. Now keep looking at the floor, but extend the rib cage or T-spine up, and then reset the head to center. Repeat one more time of a chin tuck, the flexion shape, ribs to hips. Now test your shield, keep your abs as you extend that T-spine up, and then reset your head on the horizon. We'll do a quarter turn to hands as we hinge the hips back, fingers, calluses, full hands, always thinking of the flow. And now head, neck, lateral bend, ear to shoulder, same thing other way. Always checking in with those ranges, and our cues for this is move the head, but not the neck. Breathe one more time to center, and then I'll push to the right or towards Lauren, and my weight will drift the other side. Now I'll press to my left or to that wall, and I'll return back to lovely Lauren. Repeating again, and this skill exemplifies this habit of when you're going up in that handstand, you probably want to push the other way if you're going the other way. And it's always harder when you're upside down, but keep building that tension between your hands and the floor. Now from this tall kneel, let's go back to that rib cage, and it's our lateral flexion. It's up and over, like in a ball or bearing in a tube, very tight to the body or over the hips. And the same thing the other way. It's not so much going down, but the effort could be working up. We need to soften into that movement to make room, and we could anchor to activate up. It's one more time the other way as we side flex, and then back to tall. It's just one more thing for me and my hands, or you and your hands. This time it's the gorilla fists. So on those peace sign knuckles, keep the shoulders low, keeping those blood donations forward, and I'll open my set of fingers on the floor on one hand, and then flexing or rounding over the wrist. Push the knuckle heads into the floor to use those wrist extensors, and then alternate. Fingers open and down. It's easier perhaps if that hand is closer to your knee, and even easier if it's against the wall. Be patient. Practice this for the strength for the wrist. You might feel that stretch, but really prioritize that work to push down into the floor as we're doing right now, to return the wrist to stack. One more thing for me, and then it's off to Lauren again. This time, rotate the head one way. Then keep the head stable and turn the torso, keeping the hips forward. Reset the head to front and then the body to follow. Head, rotate one way. Keep it stable and turn your body to catch up. And then head to center and body. Twos, one more time, it's the head. It's the butt squeeze, it's the shoulder blades retract as we catch up in that rotation, and then head and torso. And the final one is the head, and the torso moves. And reset the head to the middle, torso back. Go everywhere, be specific, but also give it those wiggles for fun as well.
We will warm up our first crawl today in that bear, firing up our core, putting some weight through our hands. Let's get there now. So our hands land spread out on the floor underneath our shoulders. Our toes will lightly tuck. Let's just establish the tension by hovering the knees off the floor. So both knees lift just a little bit off the floor, but our hips are as high as our shoulders, shoulders pulled out of our ears. And if we lightly pull the floor together underneath of us without moving, we should start to create that tension in our abs. Let's breathe underneath that, but hold steady, and then soft landing, take a second off. We'll add our locomotion here, but you can always stay where you are and continue to hold that static position. If you want to join forward, let's hover, and then it's opposite hand and knee, taking a forward step. And we're not going too far ahead of ourselves here so that when we get stacked, our hands are always underneath our shoulders. Our knees aren't coming too close to our hands. Last one in the forward direction, and now backwards. It's still that contralateral step, and as we push the floor forward, we go backwards. We're trying not to tip from side to side, but to keep that core stability. Hold a bear hover for 3, 2, lift the hips, straighten your knees as best as you can as you walk your feet towards your hands. Push the floor away through your fingers, tuck your chin, engage your abs, and slowly roll yourself up. Try to pull your shoulder blades together. Roll yourself on top of your hips. Your head is last to land. Whew.
Cool.
Take a second.
Cool. Keep the microphone there, Lauren. And next up, it's that shoulder blade mobility, but first, the stability of the scapula. I'll do it from a kneel, just to make room. Lauren's gonna do it from standing.
All right, we'll take that arm towards overhead and make sure it's good for our handstands today. Let's do one at a time, arm at a time. Lightly shrug a shoulder and then pull a shoulder down. Now keep your finger on your outseam right now of your pants, send your shoulder blade forward, and then retract your shoulder blade back. Now you can let go of that outseam, elbows nice and straight, hand nice and straight, as you slowly keep the shoulder low, but start to raise the arm to the front. You'll go to your safe overhead position and check in that your rib cage is down. Once there, re-straighten your elbow, reset your shoulder down. Then from the humerus, I like to think of the elbow pit. It's going to start to rotate in as it reaches behind us. And we're going to spin so much and spin so much, keeping that as tight to the body as we can, like we're in an alley, that our pinky ends up forward and our palm ends up facing away from us. Lightly elevate the shoulder again, blade, retract it, and gently depress it. Doesn't have to go all the way down into its back pocket, but just set it. Reach the arm towards the back wall with a nice straight elbow. Hold in that shoulder extension for a second. Now keeping the blade low, rotate the humerus open again. Reach it up and around towards overhead. Make sure you're staying elbow straight, square to the front of the room. Set the shoulder out of your ear again, straighten the elbow, and then pull it down through concrete, engaging that lat. Whew, whew. Give that ball and socket joint a wiggle, and let's do the same thing on the other side. So it's a lightly elevated the shoulder and then a pull down. Keep your hand where it is, but protract your shoulder blade forward and then retract it back. Now, straighten the elbow, straighten the arm, reach it towards the front of the room, and then work towards your safe overhead. Once it's there, let's pull the shoulder down again, straighten the elbow again, square up, and then start to reach the arm towards the back of the wall, rotating in the socket so the elbow pit rotates, spinning around, ending up with our baby forward, shoulder down, elbow straight, palm facing away. At the side of your body, reset. Light shrug up, light pull down. Lightly retract the blade back, keep the elbow nice and straight, reach the arm into shoulder extension. Keeping the blade stable, rotate the arm open. Oh yeah. Then reach it up and over, elbow, elbow, elbow. Nice straight arm as you return, pulling it down through that concrete, back to the side of your body. Give that a little shake and wiggle. We're gonna come back down to the floor and explore elephant crawl.
I'm already here.
So if you're not there, we'll use our hip hinge and walk ourselves out first into our bear hover. Let's get there right now. Tip your tailbone to the ceiling. Lift your hips. Don't worry about straightening your knees yet. Elbows are nice and straight. Shoulders are elevated. Hips are tipped, tailbone reaching to the ceiling. Now just straighten your knees, thinking about lifting those femurs up to the sky. Don't necessarily worry about pushing your heels down. That should be more work on those hammies. We're going to keep this position and walk our opposite hand and foot in the forward direction. Breathing, keeping the tailbone tipped, keeping that long spine. Again, it's that contralateral walk for 3, 2, and then let's take it back. Backwards walking, still opposites here. Flicking the floor away, pushing forward to go back. Good. Ending up where you started. Bend the knees this time. Walk yourself back through your hinge. Long spine. Push down and out on the floor to stand up tall. Whew. Great work.
More crawls to follow. And until then, squatting hips. We'll be working on those single leg squat or pistol squat progressions today. So with your feet in parallel, let's do 1 knees over toes squat. From this high position, transfer your weight to a single leg. I'll be choosing my left here. And can we take the other leg and end up placing it out front? But hey, maybe that foot, perhaps that point for bar or ballet class here, or handstands rather. And then pull it underneath, touch 2 feet, and let's just press those hips all the way through to tall. Repeating again, down like that spring, staying hips over those feet, and slowly transfer weight to 1 leg out front. High tension foot, try to prioritize those gorgeous toe points. 3, 2, and then return underneath and push those hips through. Repeating one more time for right now. Knees over toes, flat feet, and then transfer weight, single leg out front. Maybe point those toes again, and then return underneath. Let's stay low this time as we transfer weight to the other side. Leg out front. And mind touching the floor on this repetition? Could it lift up? Ooh, just that little bit. And then back to the squat and press the hips through. Shakes and wiggles, more of those to come as well. But first, the zoological exhibits with Lauren.
We'll get to the floor again, and this time we're exploring our lizard position to open those hips for more squats. Let's get to the floor via our forward fold. So with your blades together, your chin's going to lightly tuck. You'll flex through the neck. Then you'll flex through the rib cage. You'll keep the belly button pulled in, and we're trying to keep those hips extended. So keep your weight forward in your feet as we roll over top of our hips. And then we're going to ultimately walk ourselves out here into a high plank. From your high plank position here, hands are under shoulders. Let's just get some tension there for our handstands by squeezing our cheeks. Now, lift a foot, lift it up, and place it down beside the same hand. Right now, our back knee is nice and straight and long. We're reaching our back heel to the back wall by squeezing our cheek, and we're reaching this front knee forward. Then pull the tension together. Try to lift that front foot off the floor and place it back where you got it, other side. Lift foot up, place down. Reach that back heel away and that front knee forward. Then pull the tension back into center. Lift and place. Again, other side. Foot lifts up. First, we're going to reach long this time. Then we're going to put our back knee down. Now, keeping our cheeks squeezed and not arching through that low back, we're going to flick the floor away with that back foot and try to touch our heel to our bum of that back leg. Holding that hamstring tension for 3, 2, then back foot comes down. Knee lifts, long, long, long. Pull the tension, lift the front leg, place it back, other side. Other foot comes up. Reach long forward and back first, spine extended. Then back knee comes down, flick the floor away. Try to bend that knee, getting the heel as close to the butt as possible. Place the foot down, lift the back knee up, Lift the front foot up, put it back. One last version to stand ourselves up. One foot comes up. Then we're going to try to bring the other foot up. Now, keeping your hands on the floor for a second, lift the hips up into the air. Try to keep those hands flat. Your knees might not go straight, that's okay. And then re-bend the knees. Let's do that one more time. Lead with the tailbone. Think about leading with the label on the back of your pants towards the ceiling. Breathe, and then drop those hips back down. Lift the hands off the floor into our squat position and push down and away to stand up tall. Hippie, hippie, hippie.
Woo! That was a little ostrich move like right there at the end of that. Lizard. Love it. Absolutely love it. Continuing the squats and working on those weight transfers and balances as we go. Open up to the very similar squat position Lauren shared there and pull yourself down. We'll take time to get down and pull those legs together nice and tall. Then flick the floor away, point the toes, land in a similar or same position, and same thing, straight legs together. Pull up a foot, straighten, land in a squat, and find a single leg base of support. If any of these progressions are a little bit too demanding, use a balance aid, or just regress to where I am here with straight legs. Lauren's up, and this time could we find a higher balance on the knee? And then point and land, and similar to the knee. This time, it's the one more time each side. Be strict on level hips to the knee, straighten the leg, and explore those other places that we're bound to get into in our handstand, and then come down. We might use the word bail, but it's not a fail. It's being able to tolerate those other places and being able to bring it back with control. Push those hips through. There's one more zoological exhibit there, Crocodile Hunter. What is it?
There is. We're going to come down and explore our lateral monkey move. So that means that we'll be in our low squat position, pulling yourself down. Next, we'll be placing a hand, and then transferring weight of foot. So a hand reaches away from you, and then a little light lift off of foot transfer. As you get more comfortable with this, try to find a little bit more hang time in the air. Let's do one more to this side. And then we're going to go back where we came from. A hand, a foot. Breathe. Try to keep those elbows straight, shoulders pushing away from the floor. Last one here. Coming back to your squat position and then pushing the floor down to stand up.
Wonderful. As we progress these next skills into those handstand entries, feel free to follow along or come back to plank holds, down dog shapes, crawling shapes to keep building that intensity and endurance on all parts of the body, namely the wrists and shoulders. So before we do that though, one more time on a squat. This time, with those feet in parallel again, get as low as you can. And right now, my hips are over my feet. But if I wanted to get lower, like lovely Lauren there, my hips do have to go further back. From there, push the hips forward and stand up. As much as I don't want that cat or tuck under my lumbar spine, it will happen. But delay when it does. So here I am in my cow, I'm in my cow, and then that's where I feel I tip underneath a little bit to my cat, or the scoop, and then there, I'll push through. One more time. Feet in parallel, maintain the cow hips, checking Lauren's right there, looking pretty good, and then getting low, a little bit core brace, and push through. Little bits go a long way in regards to that squat, as much as for this handstand entry. Lauren's favorite handstand entry is the tripod, so she'll demonstrate first, and then I'll go with her descriptions to follow. Follow one of us, or just listen to both of us. Take your time as you load baby airs. That's it. Just a little hop or weight transfer. Fingertips are heavy, shoulders are over the wrists, meaning that nice wrist extension, and little quick switches perhaps, and climb the ladder from baby air to teenage air to mastery, which we are still searching for ourselves.
Forget in that tripod entry, you'll place your hands down on the floor. You'll have a 1-2 split stance. Make sure your elbows are straight. Your weight is shifted over your